Hey guys, and welcome back to Furry Tales!
We're so glad that you've joined us again today, and we're really excited about today's episode. Do you know what we're checking out today?
No, what's it gonna be?
Well, we're gonna check out some water animals.
Awesome!
Which is really cool, but we're gonna check out some animals that I promise you've never seen before.
Can't wait!
Yeah, are you ready?
I am.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited!
All right, let's go check out some cool animals. Come on. Our world is full of so many amazing creatures, and they live all around us, and we coexist with them every day. In this show, we're going to look at some of those creatures and some of the wonderful people who work with them.
This is Furry Tales!
So wetland areas, just like where I'm at right now, are absolutely beautiful and even tranquil. I can imagine myself being here and just sitting here all day long and being at peace with nature. But the fact of the matter is that this place is anything but completely peaceful. It's abundant with life. It's everywhere. In fact, compared to land per square yard, there's more life in here than there is out there. And one of those creatures that exist here in abundance is the turtle. And he's an amazing creature in so many different ways. A couple of facts. One, they can live a long time, longer than most of us watching this show right now. They can live from 10 years old to over 150 years old. That's amazing, but that's not all. They can be huge. There are over 200 different species of turtle in our environment today. And they can range from anywhere from the small little water turtles to these huge leatherback turtles that can be as big as 2,000 pounds or even 8 feet long. Wow, what a beast of an animal. And that's what exists here, are animals just like that and many more. Let's learn some more about our turtle friends. So the turtle is one of the oldest living beings on our planet. They live longer than most anything else, especially humans. But here's a fun fact that you might not know. That hard shell that they carry around with them, well, that's not an exoskeleton like the crab. It's actually part of their rib cage, so it's part of their skeleton. How cool is that? Wow, what an animal. So many times when you're close to wetland areas and you got open areas of grass just like this, you'll find a special bird that oftentimes comes together and they're gathered in there as a family. And I did say family because that's exactly what most of them are. That's the Canada goose. What an amazing bird this is. And the reason they're close to wetlands is they have security in nesting because they nest on the ground. And they love to feed in fields like this because they eat grass. Now here's what's really cool about these guys. They're incredible aviators. They can fly 1,500 miles in a single day. Think about this. That means they take off in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they can't land until they're all the way in Los Angeles, California. What an amazing bird. And that's not all. They can fly between 40 to 70 miles per hour, depending on the tailwind that they get, because they like to get in that jet stream. Check out this amazing bird. Right here's a whole group of them right now feeding in this field. Another fact about these Canada geese is they're huge. Look how big he is. He's not much shorter than me when I'm crouched down. And when they open up their wings, they're 4 feet wide. That's a big bird. And something else, they're mean. Stay away from them in the wild. Let them do their thing and don't get too close. In fact, this is about as close as I've ever been. As close as I want to be, because they'll attack you if you get too close. All right, check this out. Yeah. Doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's burrowing down in that ground. Oh, what a beauty. Check him out. So this is a southern hognose snake. He's awesome. Now there's a couple facts about them that are pretty amazing. One, he's actually a venomous snake, but he's not really a threat to humans. His fangs are in the back of his throat. So when he is eating his prey, that's when the venom gets injected through the fangs in the back. Also, probably the best actor there is in the wild. He literally loves to act like an adder or a viper or a cobra, something like that, where if he feels threatened, he'll puck up on his back like that. He'll flare out his neck. He'll even hiss if he can, or breathe real hard to make him think that he's something that he's really not. And it works most of the time. He's a genius, a good actor, and a beautiful snake. Very good to have around. You'll actually find them around water sources just like this. He feeds on small toads, lizards, things like that. So the wetland area is exactly where you'll find a lot of these guys. And here's the thing, they're all over the country. Southern, eastern hognoses, they're everywhere. They may have a different color, but they're about the same snake. All right, let's put them back. There you go, buddy. And there he goes, burrowing. So this hognose snake, one of my favorite things I've ever seen. I love this little guy. But here's a cool fact about these little guys that you might not know. They're dramatic, really dramatic. In fact, if it doesn't work where they flare up like a viper or a cobra and they try to intimidate, if that doesn't work, they go full-blown possum. They pretend they're dead. And they don't just lie down and pretend they're dead. They open their mouth, they hang out their tongue, they even defecate on themselves and roll on their back to pretend that they're dead so that their prey won't bother them, because usually their prey likes to have a fresh, clean kill. So if they're dead, more than likely to leave them alone. They play dead and they play possum better than a possum. So another amazing bird that likes to hang around wetland areas like this is the duck. These guys are incredible. One way for sure is that there's a common belief that they have a smooth beak. That's not true. They actually have little bristles on their beaks that help them to be able to filter out the food while they're eating in the water. That's amazing. But here's a fact that you've got to know. Don't feed these guys bread. It's absolutely devastating. Bread can literally wipe out an entire colony of ducks. If you get moldy bread, it causes disease in their lungs. If they eat bread, it also causes them to defecate more, and that causes bacteria to grow in their colony. Just don't do it. Stay away from it. And this is exactly what I was talking about. People will come by and they will throw out bread like this for the ducks. And this bread's pretty fresh, so it didn't happen too long ago. But what can happen is this bread sits out and it gets moldy, and the duck comes and eat it, and they will come and eat it. And that's the mold that grows in their lungs, and it actually ends up killing them. So bad idea, don't do it. In fact, I'm gonna throw this away.
Have you ever wondered why ducks have such large feet? Well, contrary to what you may believe, it's not only to help them swim really well, it also helps them maintain perfect balance standing on the steep slopes next to water.
So we're learning about turtles and just how cool they are. They're awesome. But one thing that we gotta remember, turtles and tortoises, two different animals. They're not the same thing. Well, I got a call today from my good buddy, Dr. Woods, who's one of the best experts that I know. And he's the lead vet at Udawal Veterinary Hospital. He called us today, said he's got a couple of these tortoises coming in. Let's go check them out. Good morning, Dr. Woods.
Good morning, Daniel.
Thanks for inviting me down. So you have a couple of tortoises.
We do. I've got two different species for us to check out today.
Oh man, I am so excited. Can we go check them out?
Let's go do it.
All right. Dr. Woods, thank you for inviting us to come down here.
Of course. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, these tortoises are awesome. Okay, and this is a redfoot tortoise.
Yes, sir.
Littlefoot.
Yep.
Okay, and this is a leopard tortoise.
Correct.
And well, tell me about Boca, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Boca, he was born in captivity, so captive bred. He is a leopard tortoise, as you mentioned. They all have very distinct patterns, like fingerprints. No two shells are the same.
Okay.
He's considered a quote-unquote high white, so he's gonna have a lot more white than black splotches on him.
Right, so what you're saying there is literally no two of these leopard tortoises have the same pattern on their back.
Correct, and all tortoises, even the redfoots, have totally different. They look similar, but they all are different.
Right. Oh, very cool. So the main thing that separates the tortoise from the turtle is the fact that, well, quite frankly, it doesn't like water. turtles have to be close to water. Tortoises want to be as far away from water as they possibly can, but they're pretty cool creatures. They do actually make noise. In fact, this guy can probably, if he did make noise, it would sound a lot like a chicken when it clucks. But the way they actually prefer to communicate is they will give each other head nods with these heads, and that's literally how they talk to each other. Very neat, very quiet. Okay, and these originally from Africa?
Yeah, parts of Africa. They're the 4th largest tortoise species in the world, so you've got to commit to them, knowing that it's going to be about 40 to 45 pounds full grown, and like a redfoot can live 50 to 75 years. So you got some time with them.
Yeah, wow, good pets, right?
They are great pets, low maintenance.
Yeah. So tell me, I noticed, and we were talking about it earlier, that they have these growth rings.
Yep.
Now that doesn't necessarily represent how old they are, but tell me about it.
Correct. So when in youth, all these little bright scoots that you can see on a Littlefoot very easily, they used to be right next to each other, and as he grows, they grow up pyramidally. So we can't really count rings and say how old they are because it's not a ring per year, it's just a ring per nutritional growth. So the more you feed them, the more rings they may grow.
So if you're considering a pet for your young child and you want to get outside the box a little bit, I would encourage you to consider the tortoise. Here's why. It lives a very long time. The chances of it passing away during your child's childhood is very small, as long as it's taken care of correctly. You've got to commit to taking care of these guys. And if you do, they'll live a long life along with you. Pretty cool. What does the tortoise eat?
So the beautiful things, their diets are pretty similar. They both eat roughage diets and grasses. So you've got wet roughages, that would be plant matter, that's fresh greens, and I feed them a fresh green diet. They also like some dry grasses, especially the ones from Africa, so little bits of hay. The weird thing about some of our rainforest tortoises is that they can be omnivorous as well, and they may come across meat in the wild and can eat that. Not strongly suggested in captivity, but they can acquire and eat that stuff.
So just, I know that some animals, if they do start eating meat, they become a little more aggressive. Do you see anything like that?
I haven't personally noticed it. That's commonly seen in iguanas, and again, green iguanas being an herbivore, when they're fed meat diets, some people say that they can become a little bit more aggressive. So it's trying to stay with their nutritional needs.
Very cool. So these guys have a pretty darn cool and convenient way to defend themselves if they're ever in a situation. They really don't have any natural predators. In fact, the #1 predator for these guys is humans. It's unfortunate, but it's true. But what they'll do in nature, if they do ever come under attack, is they're able to completely retract inside of that armored shell that they have, which is awesome. So the legs.
Yeah.
What about these legs? They look a lot different than a turtle's legs.
Yeah, so they do not have any webbing like an aquatic turtle has. They actually, they've got very thick, big toenails, and this guy uses them for digging. He will use them for digging. But their legs are substantially, I would say stronger in my opinion than an aquatic turtle, because it has to carry all the weight of their shell around, where in the water makes them buoyant. So who's stronger, a tortoise or an aquatic turtle? Don't know.
Yeah, that's very cool. All right, and their shells are different shape than a turtle's as well?
Yep, they are. They're dome shaped. They build up. It's not about hydrodynamics at all. And in fact, you stick them in the water, they will sink like a rock.
Yeah, they can't swim, right?
No, they cannot.
Yeah. So not good. You're not going to find these guys hanging out by the lake, that's for sure.
No, they may occasionally be in a puddle or a stream just soaking, whether they're using the bathroom, drinking fresh water out of that stream in the wild, but rarely do they linger around too much deep water, if you will.
Awesome. These guys are awesome. You're awesome.
Hey, well, you're awesome too. Thanks for coming back in.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, and thank you. We hope to see you again really soon.
Of course.
Okay.
Check back.
Bye.
So I was working a desk, and this lady walks in with all of these amazing exotic animals, and I was like, whoa, I have to call Daniel.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and these are my 4 reptile babies. They are great. I grew up with exotic animals my whole life, and I wouldn't change anything about having the 4 babies that we have right now.
We are a reptile family. We love them so much, don't we, girls? Yeah, they're amazing pets. They are so easy to take care of. We have a dog too, and they get along with the dog, but these are our special babies here, and we just love them so much. And we like to take them out a lot and to play with them.
Michelle, it was so good to meet you here today, especially here with French Fry, which is a ball python. Do you know a lot about ball pythons?
A couple of facts. So she is actually a lemon blast ball python, and she
Lemon.
has that albino feature to her.
Okay. So does that affect her vision?
She is nocturnal.
Okay.
So she actually doesn't see as well during the day. She sees much better at night. And the way that she hunts her prey at night is that she senses the heat in their body.
Okay.
And so that's how she knows to really focus in on something.
That's interesting. Now, how old is French Fry?
So French Fry was really young when we got her. She is now probably about 4 or 5 months old. She is probably about 18 inches long. The older she gets, she will get much, much bigger, especially being a female.
Okay.
The females tend to get bigger. So the older she gets, they think that she will probably get to be about 4 to 5 feet long.
Wow. So, does she have fangs?
So she is actually non-venomous,
Oh, that's
which means she does not have fangs. She has the teeth in the back of her mouth, and they are actually backwards facing, which makes it a lot easier for her to catch onto her prey. So if something tries to get out of her mouth, it's actually going to catch on those teeth.
Get stuck.
And then not be able to come out. And then the more and more she'll bring her in, and then she'll be able to digest her prey.
Super effective.
Yeah.
Well, it was super nice meeting French Fry, and I'm glad we caught you here today. And she's just such a lovely creature.
She is a beautiful girl. She's a very good girl too.
The ball python gets its name for a reason, because it likes to ball itself up and put its head down in the middle of that ball to protect itself during times that it feels like it's threatened. But did you know that there's another name for the ball python? Especially back in history, they used to like to call it the royal python for a really particular reason. They called it a royal python because they like to wear them like jewelry while they were alive. Pretty cool fact. Wow, what a cool animal.
Hey guys, we're here with Oscar. He is a bearded dragon. Take a look, isn't he neat? What are some interesting things that you can tell us today about bearded dragons, Dr. Woods?
Well, bearded dragons are a great pet. They're one of the greatest reptiles that come out of Central Australia. They're omnivores. They start off eating insects as juveniles and move towards eating plants as adults.
That's cool. So from Australia.
Yeah, another really cool, interesting fact as well is that in the wild they go into brumation, which is kind of like a hibernation for bears, only for reptiles. It's a very important thing to make sure we keep their temperatures nice and level so that doesn't happen in captivity.
Oh, so how long do they hibernate?
Well, it all depends. In the wild, they'll do it during the winter months of Australia, and that's where they just don't eat as much food and they stay down in the ground to, just like bears, last through the winters during temperatures that are not great for them to live in.
Oh, well, so when they're not hibernating, how often do they eat?
Well, they'll eat daily. They'll find insects, and they'll find plant matter, and they'll eat to their liking, and then they go back down into their holes.
Bearded dragons are so super cool, and there's some neat things to know about them. One thing is the fact that they wave at each other, and that's in order to tell the other bearded dragon what species they are, and also to show their level of submission. I was researching bearded dragons before I met Oscar today, and I came across something that mentioned that they can flatten their whole bodies out. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so flattening their bodies out is two great mechanisms to help them. One of them, first thing in the morning, they'll flatten their bodies out to increase their surface area, which allows them to attract more heat. And being exothermic, they rely on heat from the environment. The other natural reason they'll do it too is to make themselves look better, for a predatorial defense mechanism. The bigger you look, the less likely you are going to be messed with by something else.
Super smart.
That's right.
Did you know that you can actually leash train a bearded dragon just like you do a dog? Bearded dragons make super good pets, but it's really important that they're well taken care of, right, Dr. Woods?
That's right. There's a lot of different specific needs that a lot of our exotic animals need different from each other. One of the things about bearded dragons is that every once in a while their toenails grow out and they'll need nail trims. Other things are making sure that they have an adequate enclosure. We've always got to remember that as much as we see in at our reptiles, they see out. And so the cooler that you make their cage with hides and things for them to climb on, the more comfortable that they're going to be.
Yeah, and they get bored and they like to look around too.
Correct. Other things that we need to make sure that we do as well is make sure that we have an adequate nutritional diet. They need to have adequate insects. As larger adults, they need adequate herbaceous material, but oftentimes we don't provide enough calcium in their diet, and so they have to have calcium supplementation to prevent some metabolic bone diseases from happening. So always get with your veterinarian and really have a good educational conversation to figure out what your reptile needs specifically.
Those are great recommendations. Thank you, Dr. Woods.
Of course.
Now that bearded dragon, that was pretty cool, right?
Yes.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yes.
But did you know that there's another dragon out there?
Another dragon?
Yep, and he's real, and he's big, and he's mean. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
The Komodo dragon. He's a big one, and he's the biggest lizard on planet Earth, and we're gonna talk about him. The Komodo dragon is legit. He's a big dragon. In fact, he's known to be the land crocodile. Do you know why? It's because he's so big. He is over 10 feet long in some cases, which means if I was to lay down right now next to one of them, he would still be at least 3 feet longer than I am tall. Wow, what a beast. But he weighs more than me too. They can weigh over 200 pounds. Boom! And let me tell you something, they like to fight. They like to fight each other a lot. Two big old animals going at each other for no reason, not even over a mate or food, just to fight. And when they're fighting, it looks like two Godzillas going at it. Just incredible to watch. But they're mean, just to be mean. Their favorite prey is the deer, and they like to find them a deer and chase them down because they can run 13 miles per hour, which is incredible for a big lizard. But when they catch up to their deer, they don't kill them. They like to eat them alive, just to be mean. But that's not the worst part. Their saliva is full of venom. Scientists believe that if one of those bit you, it would be worse than getting bit by a venomous snake. Ah, what a dragon, but what a really cool lizard the Komodo dragon is. Now check out this beautiful girl. This is the Argentine Tengu, and she's small right now, but believe me, she's a giant when she gets full grown. In fact, they also have another name called the Giant Tegu, and the reason is, as a female, she'll get up to over 3 feet long, and that's from the head to the top of the tail. Now if she was a male, she would get up to 4.5 feet long from the front of the mouth to the top of the tail. These things are big, but they're big babies. They love people. Let me tell you, they're great pets. You can actually litter box train them for one thing, but they're extremely loyal. In fact, they love to have attention and cuddles with their owners. Sometimes they would even prefer to be cuddled by their owner over eating, even when they're hungry. That's how amazing of pets that these guys are. All right, so one thing you'll notice about her, she sticks out that tongue. And what's she doing is she's actually not intimidating me. That's not what the purpose of that is. She's actually sensing and smelling. She puts that tongue out, that forked tongue, out into the air, and she gathers the scents from the air, brings it into her mouth, where she has a special gland on the top of her mouth that allows her to smell what's going on around her. So these guys, just like a lot of other lizards, have a very unique defense mechanism, and that is their tail. If something came down and swooped down to get them, they have the ability to lose their tail, leave it with the predator, and then escape because they can grow that tail back. Very cool. Most lizards can do that. So the unfortunate thing about these babies is that they're not endangered yet, but they quickly will be for two reasons. One, because of the trade that's happening more and more and more. The other part is they're actually killed and hunted to use their skin for purses and things like that. It's a very, very sad situation. All across the country, there are great places and people whose sole purpose is to keep these wetlands maintained and clean for the ecological balance of these habitats that have to exist for these creatures to exist. I encourage you, support these habitats, support these local programs who are keeping these places clean, and be a part of something much bigger than what you think. Wetlands are important. Don't forget it.
Wow, what an amazing amazing show we just had. We got to see such cool animals.
They were awesome. That was so cool. There's so many neat animals out there, and there's so many cool animals that people have as pets.
Yes.
But it's so important that if you choose to have one of these exotic pets, that you choose to take care of it the right way. It is a commitment, a bigger commitment even than trying to take care of a dog and a cat. It's important that you know exactly how to take care of them, what kind of food to give them, the right kind of habitat to have them in. Because if you don't, it could absolutely devastate many of these animals and even kill them in a lot of cases.
That's exactly right. So we just want to thank you for joining us here today and watching Furry Tales.
Yes, thank you so much. But we want to hear from you. If you could please just visit our website, www.furrytalesshow.com. That's Furrytales, Tales show.com. We promise we'll check out what you say, and if we can, we'll reach back out to you.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.